IMS Ghaziabad. Hello, Shubham. You are getting my voice?
Am I audible to you?
Yeah,
Yes,
you're
sir.
Right, sir.
Hello all. Hope I am audible to you guys.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Hello guys, this is Rohit Gupta from C Corner. I welcome you all to the session. So I hand over the session to Mr. Shubham Ray. He's a data scientist, so he'll be able to guide you with any question. If you have any questions, make sure that you are asking that at the end of the session or whenever Shubham is asking. Do not unmute yourself during the session. Ask your question when you are given the time to ask. Thank you. Forward to you, Shubham.
Thank you so much for that great, introduction of myself. So, hi everyone, my name is Shubham. So, I'm a data scientist, a proud author at C Corner, and I do really love to share my technology insights and knowledge throughout the members around the globe. So, yes, today's agenda is mainly the name of data science. So, without wasting any more time, we'll get into start of the data science. And yes, uh, it's not just about a theory, it's not just about practical, it's all about learning today. So what I'm going to do and what I usually do is to deliver something both theory and practical. In the theory section, you'll be learning about why is it so, what is that, what are the reasons we are going to target that thing, and in the practical, we're going to implement the same. At the end of each and every sub content, I'm going to ask some, if you do have any sort of like questions, doubts, that would be really appreciated, and I think I can help you out with that. At the end of that, I'm going to try to deliver you something better, that to build your knowledge into a mediocre level so that you can build projects or even start a new project of your own self right after this session. So yes, without wasting any more time, let's just get started, and let me just share my screen right now. Give me a second. Can anybody just confirm me if my screen is visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
It is.
your screen
Yeah.
is visible.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, visible.
Thank you so much. So data science, the great thing, or the trend thing, or something each and everybody in the college or university level wants to learn something. The question is, why data science always? Or is it so much really important, or is just a buzz around the time, right? So, well, you must be using so much of technologies in your day-to-day life, be it your online store where you use recommendation system. You probably have heard the name of machine learning is helping you to recommend things for both customers and serve as a company or organization, right? The question is, how are they getting the data? And the second question is, how are they getting the insights of the data? Each and every time you interact with the app, there is data given to not specifically to you, but geographically or behaviorally Or sometimes, if we call it as an instance, take it as an example that during the Diwali in India, there are so many of the organizations, online organizations or online companies that do provide a flat discounts on clothes or any other gadgets or tech gadgets. Now, how are they doing that? Or how are they concentrating on the things? There is sometimes when they use the data of the past years to analyze that, okay, this type of things are bought in this particular month of the year or particular day of the year. And what we can do as an organization or what we can do as a company, we can give some discounts to attract a huge customer base to deliver the same, which is again a great thing for buyers to buy things and as a seller to sell things. Now, to understand every little things and every data insights, sometimes data analysis and data science comes to the great concentration of the things. Now, this was the base of the information or base of the example. There are so much things that a recommendation system are doing. There are so much things that data science are doing, be it controlling the traffic, if it's an automation thing, be it controlling the NOIC, 311 service, analyzing things where the main things are doing a great impact. So there are a lot of things. Well, learning data science do have a great impact and do have a great initiative again for the learning impact that you can get around time. So the first thing that I come into my mind if I'm going to start the data science is, what is data science, right? So yes, the definition is something that you should be able to relate yourself in the practical world, and that is what it is here. Well, just for a reference, if you want a full description of data science or you want to learn about data science articles, you should go ahead and learn about data science in the C# corner. I have shared my articles all the way around, and I think I thank the members for so much of the hit of the data science articles around there, and that appreciates me. Well, data science is a field that enables users to get the best insights of the data. See, I'm talking about data to get the best insights of the data that are being delivered to them, which may be used to make any decision. Be it in a company or organizations, right? You make decisions. Sometimes it's help us to analyze the performance of the things. Now, how do that performance of the things are guided by the data science? When you get insights, there are so many other things such as a graph, such as analytics, and you, if you're a team leader or you're an analyst, helps you to understand as a human level. There are tons of data, gigabytes of the data, but if they are represented into some graphs or analytics, they are perfectly fine. And if you see here, the performance or to predict some risk, sometimes if you are new to the market and if you want to search something, the risk can be calculated based on certain criteria, based on the geographic location, time of the year, or the product if the people need. The data has to be structured in that way, maybe utilized in proper manner so that the required algorithms can be applied. Yes, data science is not just about bringing the insights. It's all about manipulating the data in such a way that both users or the engineers at the back end can analyze the things and both can be benefited from the same, right? So yes, it is the most technology. Every potentials, be it machine learning, be it AI, be it big data, because there are tons of the data made by every day. Now, nobody is there, any person or any group to analyze the data one by one. It's just there's something should be done to bring the insights, the most meaningful results from those tons and tons of data. And there is the thing, data science helps us and rescue us. So yes, the next thing, if I'm here to learn about data science, I should be learning about how to implement the data science in the real world scenario. Well, to be very started, the first thing that I should be looking forward is the understanding of something known as the libraries of data science. Now, from here, I'm going to deliver you both theory and practical. So yes, if you do have any sorts of questions till now, feel free to ask me right here. I'll be happy to answer them. Any more questions there?
I think
No, sir.
Tushar had some question. He was raising. Yeah, yes, Tushar, you can unmute yourself.
So I was actually asking about the analyze, how you analyze the given data.
Right. So thank you, Tushar, for asking a great question. So since this is the part where I'm starting with the data science, I'll be answering the question and your answers in the next coming of the few slides and operations. Well, analysis of the data takes place in the process where you get the data, first thing. Second, you understand the data. For an example, so I have tons of data or gigabytes of the data. Now I want to understand what the outcome should be of the data. For example, I have the data for a certain month of a year where people love to buy certain clothes. Now, for me, it's a task for me that the first thing, if a company there is a A and a company there is a B. Just a second. Yeah. Yeah. So there is a company A and there is company B. The company A wants to or know the type of clothes that are being sold in a particular month. And the company B wants to understand what is the price limit or what is the range of the prices that people are looking forward to buy clothes, certain clothes, right? So both the outcomes are different. Now, for me, if I'm working for a company A, I have to understand, okay, this is my task, that what are the certain type of clothes that people are loving to buy. So there are certain algorithms. Obviously, if there is a data, there would be data for you to read some attributes, and with that purpose, apply algorithms and analyze the graph using certain formulas, which will be covered in the next few slides and operations in the practical. And if it's a company B, I have to apply mathematical functions because it is the price range, and price could be on integer or a float or double, and etc., etc. So both the things require different things, but from if I'm going to handle such a huge data, I have to understand what the company or what my team leader or what my head wants the outcome from me. So there's a tons of data, because if you apply all the algorithms at the same times, it's going to work, but it's going to take some time, because if you first thing, if you are running on a local machine, it's going to really need some CPU usage, a great CPU usage. And if you're running on like any cloud, it's going to take some time, cost you some money. Or if you are on the cloud computing platform, such as you're using day-to-day lives, so with both time and money, you have to understand what should be the outcome to optimize both economical for your both money and the CPU and GPU usage. So okay, so here we are. So what are the libraries for data science? The first thing and the building block of data science that I personally love to start with. Yes, Rohit sir.
Sorry if I'm disturbing, but I think I saw you changing the like you sharing the slideshow, but your
Mhm.
slideshow is not shared. It is your normal PowerPoint shared. So yeah, just wanted to.
Okay. So my slideshow is not being shared. Okay, let me just get something. Is it perfect now?
Yes, it's perfect. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you. So for me, if I'm going to start a data science, sometimes it's really important to understand the very basics of the thing. So here are the things that I'm going to cross right now. The first thing being a NumPy. Well, to be very honest with you, if I'm a guy, I want to learn about NumPy, the first thing I would think about why it is a NumPy or something not XYZ. Well, NumPy stands for numerical Python. It is one of the essential Python libraries in specific computing and is used heavily for applications on machine learning and deep learning. The very basic things are the very building blocks of any knowledge. So I would highly recommend each and every one of you to understand this NumPy thing, because at the end of a day, or at the end of your data science journey, it is one of the things that you're going to really use a lot in your day-to-day life, because it is one of the basic things and it is the base knowledge that you need to learn forward. So NumPy stands for numerical Python. Machine learning algorithms and computational complex required multidimensional array operations. Well, the first thing that if I am a guy and I want to ask you questions about NumPy, first, what is NumPy? It is a numerical Python. Why it is used? It is used for scientific computing and used for applications of machine learning and deep learning. What does NumPy support? NumPy supports for large multidimensional array. One of the great reasons to why use a NumPy and why not lists in Python. So I think you are well versed with lists and tuples. So one of the reasons, if someone asks you if in the interview process why you consider NumPy over the lists, here is the answer. That NumPy provides support for large, is the keyword, multidimensional arrays objects on various tools to work with them. This is the key answer and straightforward. So this is the reason why I love to start with the NumPy, because it is one of the building blocks. So if you do have any sorts of doubts or any sorts of questions, ask me, because I'm going to start over the practical NumPy operations right in a few moments. So any questions, please? Okay, let me just share my screen. Give me some moments. Can anybody just let me know about if my screen is visible to you or not?
Yeah, it's visible, clearly visible.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me create tools. Just a second. Pujyatan, do you have any question?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
please.
actually, I want to ask you, I'm doing data science from somewhere, so I am learning Python there. So I just gone confused between why not Python and NumPy should I go with?
Okay, so the first thing, thank you for the question. So I would love to address this question in this way, that NumPy is a library of Python. It's not a language. So the questions, the thing I think you're confused with, should you choose over R or Python? Because R is also programming language, or Python. To address your question, again, it's NumPy is a framework of Python and not a language. And R is basically a great learning for data analysis, but Python, all around thing. So if you're going ahead with the, like data science, data analysis to be in construct, so I would recommend you, but not, you should do your, again, research. I think you are great to do with Python, because sometimes if you're in the practical or you want to build your product, sometimes the back end also needs to be done, and also the front end. I think there comes a Django, and with the help of Python, it's easily constructible. So I think I can recommend you as a Python, you should do it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that questions. I really appreciate it. Just a second, please.
Anyone else have any question, or they want to ask something, they can ask.
Okay, so there's no questions. Let me just share my screen right now. Okay, so my screen is visible right now.
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Right. Is there anyone who wants to ask a question? Dhruv, please mute your mic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, the thing that I want to concentrate over here, first let me just bring, the font upwards. So now what we're going to understand is Numpy. For the beginners, let me just introduce this. If you're very new to Python, or if you're very new to Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio Code is one of the code editor that I used. And it has extensions, like if you want to support for Python, or if you want to support for Jupyter or anything else, for any other languages also. Since installed for recommended, you can use different things. There are tons of things available in the marketplace over here. So you can just search your extensions over here, get your support, and you can run your code right away. You do have a terminal, you do have everything you need to do, right? So this is Visual Studio Code, and inside here I'm using the extension or the extensions for Jupyter. So you might be, if someone is using Jupyter, you can think of the same way as Jupyter runs. It has all the same things. So this is what I use for the day-to-day life. So let's just get away with NumPy. Let's just start. So whenever we think or we want to do something, or we want to bring the functionality, right, we always import. Import keyword is used to import things in a library in Python. So import NumPy, right? I'm storing as here as np, right? That's a second. Yep. So I'm using here as np, right? So when I did, you have to hit the shift and enter button to get it a compile and change the cell. So whenever you compile, you get the timings required to compilation. It's so much efficient, 0.2 seconds, right? And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to create certain, like rank 1 array. When you want to change the cell with compilation, use shift and enter. Then you want to move to the next line, use simple enter, nothing more than that. So array 1, let's just create an NPC. What I did on the above thing is import NumPy as NP, because every time you write NumPy, it gets so much confused. So what I do is calling just the name dot function of array. Just a second. And with the open, I'm going to create certain lists. So let's just be here as 4, 5, 6. Right? And with that use, I'm going to print these things. The very same thing that I'm going to print here is certain the thing that I created, I want to print it over the next line. And so just to know, if it's a correct one or if there is something error in there. So print, what I'm going to do here, call something known as array with dimension 1, right? And what I'm going to do over here is change the next line using this syntax. And the thing that I'm going to call over here is now the array 1. Right? So you can see that my one-dimensional array has been created. Now for the same thing, that if I'm given to create the two dimensionals of the array, now what I'm going to do here is array2 equals to, again, I'm going to call over the numpy as NP. It's short, crisp, and clear. Dot array functionality of an array. And then I'm inside this array, I'm going to create a two-dimensional list, right? So this time be at 6, 7, 8. And the next one I'm going to create as be at 7, 4, 9. Right? And again, moving towards the next thing, that what I'm going to do is I'm going to print the very same thing. Just a second. Tuples got 7. Got it. So whenever you do the things in array, you have to make sure you have to make the system understand that it's a single array with two dimensional. So you just have to understand with the double braces. So here is the array2 with the two dimensional things, right? Please give me a moment, please. I do have an urgent call.
So guys, till now, are you enjoying the session, or you are finding it to be going above your head or something? Any reviews you want to give?
Yes, sir, I'm able to understand.
Okay, great, Vishal. Yeah, thank you for that. Anyone else who wants to say something?
It's all clear.
Okay, great. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I do apologize. I had an immediate call, so I do apologize for them. Okay, let's just carry on. So in this session, in this thing, you're learning about the creating dimensions with the help of NumPy, and that too in just a sentence. It's nothing writing about scripts and scripts. It's just a simple sentence. All you need to have to do is import the NumPy functionality, input your arrays, print them, and voila, right? So next thing that I'm going to do is to create an array from these things you have understood about doing from insides of a list. Now here, what I'm going to do is create something from tuples, right? So let's just create an array from tuple. Can anybody help me to know what is tuple? That would be great if anybody can answer that. Or what is the difference between a list and a tuple? Anybody there? Okay, for the short, a list can be modified and tuple can't. If
Guys,
in the
Shubham, your
Yes,
voice
sir.
was breaking.
Okay. So just to answer, a list can be modified and a tuple can't. If you're doing a program where the data has to be added, removed, and added, removed, So I think the list would be the perfect thing. But if you want to have a constant data which doesn't need to be changed, or if you don't allow the program to be changed, so you are the one that you should go with the tuple. So here is an array that I need to create from a tuple. So array 3, again, I'm calling as a numpy np dot functionality of array, right? And inside this, I'm going to create simple tuple, right? And here you can understand the difference over here. Here it is the square bracket where the list is doing here, and here it is not a square bracket. So you have to understand the minor things that while performing things on data science or even normal numerical Python, a difference between if you are known to tuple or list, right? So we created, now what we need to do is we need to print the array with the tuple. So here it is. Now you have created an array with the tuple. Tuple allows you to have a constant of a data, but enables you to create an array with the dimensions what you want. You can understand over here the same output as if you're using a list or if you're using a here as a tuple. So this was the construct understanding what we till now have understood right now here. What is data science? Why data science? The applications of data science in the real world scenario. We have understood about what is NumPy, what is the full form of NumPy, why NumPy over anything list or any other thing, and what NumPy supports, what NumPy stands for. And after that, we have completed about the NumPy practical ground. So this is what it is, because NumPy enables you to do with multidimensional array. So here it is, single dimensionals, multidimensionals. Your program now, you must be thinking, what is the use of these such short things in real world scenario? Suppose you're given a data, again, it is a big data again, right? And there you have certain lists, big lists. NP creates so much easy for you to manipulate or to define those lists into an array if required in so much short amount of time, and that too, 2 lines of code. Probably, first thing you have to import the NumPy, and second thing you have to apply the operations over your code, making sure your code has a good practical, like definition, and that too can be used for long GBs of data. So I think this is one of the best cases and the best scenario where NumPy can be used. I have shown. Now I am sharing or moving over to the next library. So if you do have any sorts of doubt regarding the NumPy definition or anything about data science from the starting, feel free to ask me. I'd be happily answer to them, because next thing that I'm going to start is Pandas. Now, most of you will be thinking, what are those graph? Where are those things that people so much done the cool things in data science? Well, we'll be doing that thing also, but before that, we have to cover at least the basics of NumPy and Pandas. So I'm going to stop the sharing here. Feel free to ask me questions, and I'll be happily answer to them. Okay, can anybody just confirm me if my screen is visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for confirming me. Now the next thing that I'm going to learn about is Pandas. Now, what is Pandas? Okay, if anybody has heard about those terms about Pandas, if anybody can say something about Pandas, that would be really appreciated. If anybody. Okay, So let's just start with the pandas. So what is pandas and why pandas, what pandas stands for, and why should I use pandas? The question is that, right? Now suppose, take this as an example. You do have lots of name in the data sets, and you do have lots of data of your data sets. You want to arrange them in such a way that they can give you a practical understanding of what the data set consists about. Take an example right now. There are 5 names, X, Y, A, B, C, D, E, and there are 5 numericals, 45, 23, 26, 28, and be at 30. Now, if I am able to understand the data, I can understand that these things could be something that related to the person's individual. But what it is, marks, age, right? So before every data you get, you have to get a structural data to understand what is what are those things. And with the help of pandas, I'm going to understand about those things. So that we'll be learning about in the practical thing, but let's just start with the theory right now. So here in the pandas itself, pandas stands for a Python data analysis library. And that is the name of pandas. It is an open source of package. It is open source. You can just go ahead and contribute if you want something to change or want something to, like from your own end. It helps you to perform data analysis, manipulations in Python language. Remember, pandas, numpys are not language. They are libraries of Python, right? So it helps you to perform data analysis and data manipulation in Python language. Provides a fast and flexible data structures that is easy to work with relational and structured data. Now here it is. If somebody asks you, what is pandas? You're going to say it is an open source package. It helps to perform data analysis and data manipulation in Python language. And what does pandas stands for? It's a Python data analysis library. And why should you use pandas and not other things? Well, in short program or in short code, you can't understand the difference. But when the data is big or the script is so much long, trust me, it is one of the fastest and flexible way to understand your data and going to save a lot of time. Thus, saving your computational power. If you are using a cloud, it's going to save you money. So it provides you fast and flexible data structures, make it easy to work with relational and structured data. The 2 keywords I want to hear or I want to concentrate over here is relational and structured data. So how many of you have done about relational database management system, RDBMS? Anybody there?
I guess none of us.
Okay. So the difference between the database management system and database management system is something that you should be knowing, that it provides a schema. Now, what is a schema? It is a systematical way to connect data over the data. Like there is a name, age, name, marks. So you can understand that, okay, this person has this age and this marks. So it is a relational. And what is structured? And structured data. The structured data is something which you have to understand in a way that, suppose, let me just give you an example. You have a big data, right? You suppose a company is giving you a data. The data can be consists about, or there are 2 scenarios of the data. First thing, it is clean data. That means you just have to do the operation. Sometimes it's not clean. What I mean about not cleaning is there are images, there are sounds, there are videos, there are certain links that you don't want to use in your data set from the data set itself. So that is a structured data. When nothing unwanted is there, that is a structured data. And there is another unstructured which contains the same that I told you just above. So yep, here we are. If you do have any sorts of doubts, feel free to ask me. I'd be happy to answer them, because in the next thing that I'm going to start is the practical understanding of pandas right now. So anybody? Okay, let me just move ahead and share my Visual Studio code over there. Can anybody just give me a nod if my screen is visible of the Visual Studio?
Sir, it is visible.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what I'm going to learn over here is pandas, right? So again, just to import things, I'm going to import pandas as PD. The variable, the functionality of pandas is stored in the variable as PD, right? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a small data, right? What should I create? Let's just be this. So the first thing that I'm going to try over here is my name. Second thing, someone's like, right? So I've created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, there are 5 names, and what I do need to create over here is this B. Okay, so age let be. Right. What I've done here, suppose this is a short one, but obviously when you're going to do a deal with the big data, there will be a data which is unstructured or like this. You have to understand that these are the names corresponding to these are the ages. But what if you want to, in a tabular form, to manipulate the data or you to understand the data in a long descriptive way? And thus we are going to perform the data frame, right? So the data frames you're going to over here is, suppose df, data frame. So I'm going to import those as PD because I've called the PD as functionality of pandas. So PD dot, not a boolean this time, PD dot data frame, right? And I'm going to pass the same things data here. Now the thing that I want to see over here is print those, and I'm going to print the same thing over here. Now, understand the data. The data is formed in such a way that it creates a single line thing. This could be a small, this could be a long, depending upon the quality of the data that you have been given. But you have to sort this out in such a way that you should be able to understand the same thing in a tabular form or a form or simple just a thing that you can understand and manipulate the data itself. So what I've done, created the data, or you can just import the data, convert the data, this here, this data, this one here. I've called, passed to the PD, pandas called data frame is the functionality to enable you to convert the same things into the tabular form, and I printed the data frames over here. So when you see and when you compile the data, you can see if this is such a, because this is a short, but if you get a long one, so much easy to understand now. This is the name, this is the age, and if there is something corresponding to that, you can also add those. And I think this is one of the beautiful things that, I think Pandas has offered to you. Because sometimes it's really important for you to structure the data in such a way that the required result can be done in an efficient way. And I think Pandas is one of the tools that most of the data science / data analysts use day-to-day life, at least for the first time when they're getting the new data set, to enable them to understand the data in a human way, right? So I think here we have done about the pandas, right? You have understood about the Numpy, you have understood about pandas, Numpy practical, pandas practical, what is data science, right? Now we will be going move ahead to those graph things, those certain things that makes people looks good certain way, in such a way that they can do the operations. I'd be happy if anybody do have any sorts of doubts. I would answer them definitely. So do you have any doubts? Okay, can anybody just give me a nod if my screen is visible about the Matlablib?
Sir, it is visible.
Thank you so much for confirming me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So now we are moving to the Matplotlib. This is one of the actual thing that you are going to learn if you're going to start your data science journey, build graphs. So yeah, this is Matplotlib, and the reason I started to cover the Numpy and Pandas, it's just because of this, because this is the thing that you're going to use in a day-to-day life, and without those things, I think it is quite hard to understand. So let's just get started. So what is Matplotlib? It is the popular library for exploration and data visualization in the Python ecosystem. If you want to visualize data in Python ecosystem, one of the great things, in fact, I should say, is Matplotlib. Every other library is built upon this library. If somebody wants, or if somebody thinks that this function is not there, people have used this library to build on features and made a new library. It offers endless charts. Like suppose you have data, you want to build charts. There are tons and tons of supports. Customization from histograms to scatter plots to matplotlibs. There are things that I think you'll be enjoying them while I build on the same thing, which is single data. And I think this is the most beautiful things about Matplotlib right now. Matplotlib is very useful when you're performing data exploration for a machine learning project, building report for stakeholders. It is surely and definitely the handiest library. I think if you are going ahead to the data visualization, you should learn about the Matplotlib library in data science. So if you do have any if you do have any sorts of questions, ask me. I'm moving towards the practical of the Matplotlib.
No, sir. No, sir.
So, okay, if anybody can just nod me if my Visual Studio Code is visible.
Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you. To be frank, guys, feel free to ask me questions. If you're starting, perfectly fine, because every starting questions needs to be clear. And don't think that any question is dumb questions or useless question. Remember one thing, what I think about if I'm going to ask any question to somebody, questions are never silly, answers can be silly. So always think of this. If you do have any questions, because this is the time you should get started over data science, and if you want to learn data science, feel free to ask any questions, right? So any questions here? Okay. So again, if I'm going to import something, so because I'm going to plot something, right? So here I'm going to use from Matplotlib, import pyplot. What is pyplot? It's Python plotting function that you can get from my Matlablib. As this be PLT. I hope you understand this time. From the Matlablib, what I imported as pipeload as PLT. The variable here is PLT, right? So let's just create a data. And you can understand from the data that I'm going to create so many of the graphs. So many, literally so many. XP, yes. Right, and YB is right. So we have stored the data of X and Y. Now you have to see and enjoy the benefit of Matlablib and so much short, crisp result of Python itself, right? So I'm going to create over here. What I'm going to create is a line plot. You must be having understood about line plot because it's a mathematical graph where you create line plot, a line graph. You can understand over here itself. So what I'm going to see, I'm PLT calling the Matlablib function dot, right? Plot. I'm asking PLT to plot something. What I have to plot, it's X, comma Y, right? And what I am asking the system is PLT dot show that what you have built, right? So see, we have created the line plot with the values of X and Y respectively. How many lines we have used? Imported the Matlablib, use the data sets or the data you have created, ask the system to plot something, and to ask the system to show something. And there we are, right? Have you ever seen that I have created this as the main X and Y? Now see, using the same thing, I'm going to create PLT dot, what I'm going to ask the system is create a bar. So PLT dot bar X, comma Y, right? Nothing fancy, right? Simple. And I'm going to ask the system to PLT dot show, right? Let's just see. Simple. You can see over here. Your bar plot has been created. Now what I'm going to do next over here, PLT, I'm going to ask the system to hist stand for histogram. I'm going to pass the value of histogram, right? And I'm going to ask the system to PLT dot show, right? Your histogram has been created. If I do the same thing with the Y, let me just show you. PLT, okay, PLT. You can see different graphs has been created using just single data that's been created in the first time, X and Y. Just calling them, asking the system, just these things changes. PLT.hist, PLT.bar, PLT.plot. Now, if you are using, sometimes if you're machine learning enthusiast, you must be using these things for sure. PLT.scatter, SCATTR. And here it is X, comma Y. And here it is PLT.show. You're asking the system to show us what you have got. See, it is created in such a way that it can be both understood by the user, by the person itself. So I think the main reasons to use as a Matlablib lies over here. Till here, we have completed about the data science, why data science applications, Numpy, both theory practical, Pandas, both theory and practical, and Matlablib, both theory and practical. If you do have any sorts of doubts, feel free to ask me. I'd be happy to answer them. Satvik, can you please mute your mic? That would be great.
My phone has been hanged.
If anybody do have any sorts of doubts, feel free to ask me, because the next thing that I'm going to move is the project, small project. So that would be great for you to understand how you can do things, how you can understand leverage things, why data science, and I think it has been covered. So if you do have any sorts of questions, feel free to ask me. I'd be waiting for a minute, till next minute. So feel free to ask me any question.
Actually, I want to ask about some study material about data science.
Right. Thank you. What is a good name, please?
So Tushar.
Right. Hi, Tushar. Thank you for asking. Yes, there are tons of data. Sorry, there are tons of resources available. But for data science beginner, if you just move on to there are certain things that even C# articles can get you help. And if not, there are certain things you can just search them about, and you can create the first thing and the very beneficial thing that I would implement if I'm going to start a data science student, or what I did as a data science student when I was learn the things, know why, when, why should use, get an example, and try to implement in the practical. Because to be honest, when you are giving an interview, because if you're learning something, obviously you are trying to get a job in that same domain, right? You're investing your time for the same. So they will ask you practical things. Practically, even they will ask you to do some certain operations on the practical, right? So make sure you learn something and you practically do something. That will be the best things. And again, move ahead to the C# corner, right? C# corner, space data science, and there are tons of data science articles for you to understand. Again, if you do have any doubts over there in any articles in the comment section, just write your question, and I think in a few days you would get a revert back from the author itself, right? So for this thing, let me just share you something. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here it is the C# page. So if you're going to learn about the data science, I have shared over the articles of why Python, why R, or why SQL, or different things. If you want to go ahead and read about yourself, that would be great. And again, if you do have any sorts of questions, feel free to comment in. So, like I always do the follow-up of the comments so that I can engage with the users, both as an author and both as a user. So I would love to help you. So feel free to ask me questions. I'll definitely go ahead and reply. If you're not getting what you're searching for, go to this column, C# corner, and there you just type as data science. And you will be moving ahead with so much of data science articles, and you just move ahead. You'd be getting so much of benefit things, even the articles and authors, even the video lectures. Definitely, you should definitely move to this C# corner page. I definitely recommend it. It's a plus thing. So okay, so what I need to do is guide through one of my project, right? And I think that would be great. So this is the data analysis of a New York City. Now, NYC 311 service is something that people often use in New York City to get help, certain help. They call the 311 service. And with the same data set and with the same database gets updated, this project also gets updated in the real time, making sure the data gets updated through the URLs itself in the status. So what I've done, you can understand now, imported the Numpy, imported the Pandas, and now what I did, I have called the URL API, right? Now what I did, I've called the data API and I've changed the database in such a way that I can understand, right? There's so many of the data, right? Even people, even if I'm going to read all the data, I'm going to go mad, right? So this is what it is. You can get an agency name. You can understand, okay, this is the agency. This is something borrowed. This is a school region, right? This is the school zip, and you can get the data understanding through the column name. Perfectly fine, right? Now what I've done over here to understand the which area needs to be done, because I don't want any other data sets or columns to interact to reduce the performance. So what I've done, I have removed the data sets, removed the column, sorry. So data sets, I've dropped column names from 0, 1 to 3, 4. So what was 0, 1 to 3, 4? Let's just get you. So this was 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I've dropped those. So what is the next thing? If after dropping those, I got this fresh thing. Address type, agency name. Now, what I don't need is from here. So what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to drop the data sets again from the back. See, +1 means from the front. If you're working with arrays, you can understand what I'm talking about. And the last, -1, -2, and -3. So there is a perfect, now neat and clean of the data set that I have used. Address type, agency name, pre-joe, close date, city, right? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to understand what is the status, percentage of status, how many of them are open request, how many of them are closed request, or how many of them are pending request. So status update equals to data set of the status. Now let's just find the data set right here, right? Like about closed, right? Okay, here it is a closed date, right? So how many of them are closed? You can get over understanding through the closed data sets. Pending, same the pending data state. So what I did, I tried to understand them using Matlablib. So Matlablib as pipeline as PLT. Now total number of status, I have to count. If I'm going to count the percentage, I have to count the total status, right? So I have counted the status using total status.index, counts the index and what is the length of the index. So it was 1000 statuses. Now what I have done, dataset.group by how many of the status, let's just create a group. So it is grouped now. How many of them are closed? How many of them are open and pending? So group.getGroup open, group.getGroup.pending, and here it is the closed one. The percentage, how I'm going to calculate the length of C. Now what was C? It was the closed length of C. That means the number of closed divided by this 1000 and multiplied by 100. Same thing for open, same thing for pending. And I'm calling now the percentage of closed, it's 91, percentage of the requests are closed, percentage of open are 0.3, and percentage of pending are 8.1 percentage. Others, like which are not marked, either pending, open, or closed, are 0.6 percentage. Like others equals to 100 minus percentage of closed plus percentage of open plus percentage of pending. I'm getting over here 6%. You as a mathematical student have understood about this, but what if someone needs to be statistical understanding? That's the reason we call the Matlablib. Labels we have created as closed, open, and pending, and others. The sizes we have corresponding to size of closed, with for closed, pending, open for open, pending for pending, and others for others. Now this is the exploit where we want this gap to be 0.1 and 1 and -1. And we are going to plot plt.subplots. That plt.bar, plt.hist you have understood in the previous moment. So here it is the plt.subplots for this type of configuration. Now what I've done to ask the system about plt.show. Now after that, you have got a fantastic, graph of about a pie chart, in fact, I should say, of percentage of, you can understand through this that majority of them are closed. There are a little about pending. open are very few, and there are certain things that others have been specified, right? So if you want to understand in this way, perfectly fine. If you want to understand in this way, so you have to count, because you have to count the number of closed, you have to count the number pending and assigned and open. So I have counted dot value dot counts. You have to count those. You have to just kind of bar, and this is the bar graph you have now. And same thing, if you want to understand about which places have the highest, I have just used the borrow data sets over here, contains the name of places. Let me show you and guide you. Data sets. Here it is under the borrow. You can see that there are number of places, there are name of the places. So I have called over here the name of the places, and I want to understand which places have the most requests or the most possible requests. So here it is. The Manhattan has the highest, followed by the Queens, Brooklyn, and their Bronx, right? So now by this end, you have understood over, okay, this is the place with the highest possible request. This is the percentage of the closed, perfectly fine. These are the percentage of the closed pending open requests. These are the percentage of the routine percentage of the same, right? And what else you have got? You've derived all those information from this unstructured data that created over the period, that nan. You filtered those data, got those data, visualized those data. This is the beauty of data science. I hope you got to learn something from today's session, and really appreciate your time. So yes, if you do have any sort of questions, feel free to ask me. It is a Q&A session right now for the next 5 minutes. Feel free to ask me, and I think the session is over right now.
Sir, what does NA and NAN stands for?
Whenever you do have nothing in the value of your column, the system automatically NA in. Therefore, nothing is there. It's a blank value. It's a null value. So the system identifies the blank thing as NaN.
Okay, sir.
Any more question, please?
Sir, actually, I want to ask, the data which you have shown is already the sorted one. It is already the structured one data.
The structured one data, that the data that I have used was not a structured for me, because I don't want the data to be unstructured during my operation, but because it would create a lot of local machine, like. So I just dropped the few data sets you have seen. I have just explained a few moments ago. I dropped the unnecessary of the data that I don't need for my operations. So using the drop function, you can drop the unnecessary of the data, and you can good to go with your data sets. Why drop functions? Because I don't need those data. Why don't need the data? It doesn't affect my system, but if it's a big data, obviously it would hamper. If it's a cloud computing, it would definitely cost me some money over the cloud computing system. Or if it's a local machine, definitely it would increase the CPU usage, resulting in increase of time for compilation. Thus, to save both the things, I used the drop function, dot drop. That is one of the possible way to clean your data, in fact, or even filter your data. Any more questions, please? I'd be happy to answer. Any more questions, please?
Yeah, if guys you have any questions, just let us know. Otherwise we can wrap up. So as per the agenda, we had another speaker. Her name is Ivana, but due to some health emergency, she is unable to join today. So we apologize on behalf of her, and we apologize as Shisha Corner that we were not able to provide you with the session. But we promise that we'll be organizing another session with her, and you will definitely be getting the knowledge that she would have been imparted. Yes, Pooja, you want to say something? Guys, any other question, any career related thing, or you want to ask where how to be a data scientist or something? Uh, So guys, yesterday, like 2 days, like I've been to Imintech, I've been to IMS Noida. So the basic question that I had is that what is a data scientist? So Shubham, would you like to elaborate what is a data scientist and what a data scientist do in his day-to-day work?
Right. Thank you for that question, sir. I really do appreciate it. Well, as a data scientist, not just about manipulating data, getting the visualizing data. Data scientist work starts from the unknowingly of data and knowing into and making it into structured data to what it requires by the organization. For an example, if someone in an organization wants a visualized data, for an example, let me give you a real life example. For in short, how you can get the visualization of the data using some Tableau or like Power BI, fantastic tools. But if someone wants even more depth, data scientists can help you on that. Second thing, the second application is NLP, a area which is so much for data scientists. It creates an area where people can get information about certain things. Let me get you an example right now. If you want to understand the performance of some organization, you can go ahead and search about the organization in the online. But as a person, you can do that. But if some company wants to understand its feedback and then how it's going to do, it's going to scrap the whole web, social medias, feedbacks, questions are forums, feedbacks from Reddit, etc., etc. So in that scenario, the data scientists can help you with that same thing. From different sources, they can get the data, they can get you whatever you need right now in front of your screen. Yes, Naman, do you have any question? Naman, yes, Naman. Yes, Pooja.
Hello, sir. Could you please help us with the pathway to learn the data science from basic to advanced?
Thank you, Pooja, for the question. Understanding of the data science has to take place from the question which programming you want to choose, be it R and Python. Upon your decision, upon your research, you get to choose a language. And then ahead, you move to the free resources. Now, the free resources are the what? There are tons of free resources that are available. I would recommend you to try the first free resources before moving to the paid resources, if possible. If not, then obviously you have to understand from the paid resources. But there are tons of free resources around the internet. You just search about the data science. There are articles from C#, there are articles from somewhere else. They can help you with the path. If you are starting with the Python, at least you have to understand about Python, at least medium level or 10 to medium level to understand Python, because it is all about mathematical functions and drawing things from mathematical functions. Not totally, but at least there are some. If somebody tells you you need to have a great attention towards statistics, it's not true. But it is true that you have to know about statistics, not a great extent, but you have to know upon time, experience, and apply of the day-to-day life. You'll be obviously getting into this way that you know the operations, how to deal with that. But at least you have to understand about the statistics for sure. Third is you have to understand about which or how to manipulate data. And I think this is the best way to go ahead with the data science projects. Make some projects for your own, practice them. And once you make a project, try to make it efficient, even more efficient. If something you have written in 500 codes, 500 lines of code, try to make it in a 450, try to make it in a 400 code. The results should be same. But what I'm trying to say is using the efficient of the code. In future, you can understand that, okay, this line can possibly do the 536 lines of code. So in this way, you can get a better opportunity of a data scientist inside. Any more questions, please? Anyways, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate for your questions, and I hope that you learned about something from this session. And if you are doing a data science project, best of luck. And if you want to start, go ahead right now. It is the time for you to learn data science, a great opportunity for you to learn. Yes, sir, it is over to you now.
Yeah, okay. Like if everyone is done, I think we can wrap up. Thank you all. Thank you each and every person who was involved with us, each student, each teacher who have been this make this I would say the great success. And special thanks to Mr. Shubham who took his time to explain. He has shared a lot of information that I think you guys can benefit from. So we'll be doing such webinars. So I would like you guys to be joining those webinars. We'll be starting with a series on data science, from where you can learn the end-to-end process, how you can be a data scientist, how you can learn data science. So yeah, just keep an eye on the C# corner. We'll definitely be starting it soon. Like we are planning to start with that in the month of December, but and we'll definitely be talking with your colleges if we can get you there on the webinars. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you all for being here. Have a great day ahead. Thank you guys. Yeah. Anyone saying something?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you guys.